Hello and welcome to all. In today's session, we will see top 20 frequently asked difference between questions on Selenium with Java and TestNG with example. Okay, so we'll start with what is the difference between the find element and the find elements. Okay, so find element it's written the single web element, whereas find elements it's returns list. Okay, and if element not found, then it throws the exception. Okay, whereas find elements it's written the empty list. Here we can see the syntax. Okay, so we will write the find element by id. Okay, and find elements we can write by dot the respective tag name. Okay, so it will return the list. Then next, what is different between the get text and the get attribute? So get text it's get the visible text, whereas for get attribute it gets the HTML attribute. Here you can see the syntax. Okay, get text is a very simple. Okay, it gets the visible text, and get attributes it gets the HTML attribute. Okay, then next, what is the difference between the close and the quit? Okay, close it closes the current window, whereas the quit it closes all the browser windows. Okay, and its session ends, whereas close its only session it's only close the current window and session remains as it is. Okay, then next, what is the difference between the absolute XPath and the relative XPath? Okay, so absolute XPath starts with the slash. Okay, and it breaks easily if dev team change any in change in ID. Okay, then it breaks the easily. Whereas the relative XPath, okay, it's a more stable and it start with the slash slash. Okay, here you can see the first one gives the absolute XPath example, whereas the second, which is starting with the slash slash, it is a relative XPath. Okay, so when interviewer asks the same question, we need to give the example. Okay, then next, what is the difference between the explicit wait versus explicit wait? Okay, so implicit wait it's a global level, whereas the explicit wait it's on condition based. Okay, and if you see example, so first example like Driver.manager timeouts implicit wait, then here we can give the in second. Okay, this is the implicit wait and it's applicable to global level. Okay, whereas the other one is the explicit wait, it's a condition based wait. Here you can see we give the condition wait dot until expected conditions dot visibility of element located. Okay, then next, what is different between the WebDriver and the WebElement? Okay, so WebDriver it controls the browser. Okay, again WebDriver it's an interface, and WebDriver we can perform the action on the URL manage windows. Whereas the WebElements it controls the web page elements. Again, it's an interface, and will perform the action like click, send keys, get text. Okay, here you can see WebDriver. We can define WebDriver. Driver is a new Chrome driver, and the WebElement we can perform the action on the web element. Okay, Driver.get, then button.click and other things. Okay, then what is the difference between the get window handle and the get window handles? Okay, so get window handle it returns the current window, whereas get window handles return the all the windows. Okay, then get window handles it's written the set, whereas the get window handle is written the single string. Okay, and here we can give the example. Driver.get window handle it's simply written the parent string or parent window, whereas if we open the multiple windows or multiple browsers, okay, then we can use the get window handles and we can it will return the set. Okay, then what is the difference between the fluent wait versus explicit wait? Okay, so Fluent Wait here we can see we can add the polling time. Okay, whether for explicit wait we have default polling. Okay, now here in main advantage of Fluent Wait, okay, we can ignore the exception. Like here we gave the example. Okay, here you can see within time out 20 seconds and pulling every 2 seconds. So every 2 seconds it is checking whether that element is visible or not. Okay, it will wait till 20 seconds. Okay, and if the similar exceptions came then it will ignore it. Okay, then next is a difference between Thread.sleep versus waits. Okay, so Thread.sleep is a hard wait. Okay, it slows down the execution. So in our framework, we'll recommend we should not use Thread.sleep. We'll use the smart wait. Okay, it's efficient. Then what is the difference between the isDisplayed, isEnabled, and isSelected? Okay, so isDisplayed method is checking the visibility, whereas isEnabled checking the clickability, whereas it's selected. Okay, we can use for the checkbox or radio button. Then what is different between assert versus verify? Okay, assert stop the execution on failure, whereas verify continue the execution. Okay, here you can see assert equals, okay, if it's not matched, okay, our execution will stop. Whereas the soft assert, okay, so soft assert, we need to create object of soft assert, okay, and the execution will continue, okay. Then what is the difference between the before method versus before class? Okay, before method runs before each test, where the before class runs once per class. Then next, what is the difference between the test priority versus depends on methods? Okay, test priority, okay, it's order based. Okay, it's not reliable. Okay, whereas depends on methods, it's dependency based, and we'll recommend depends on method. We can use it. Then what is different between the hard assert versus soft assert? Okay, hard assert, like in earlier example, we saw assert equal. Okay, if it's not match, okay, our execution stop. It's a hard assert. Whereas soft assert, okay, our execution continues. Okay, it execute all the steps. Okay, then hard assert debugging is harder, whereas the soft assert is a better reporting. Okay. The next, what is difference between the page object model versus page factory? Okay, so page object model is a pattern match, design pattern matching. Okay, it's a manual element initialization is there. Whereas the page factory, we just use the and find by. Okay, here we just to use it. This is the example give. Okay, then next is what is different with Driver.get versus Driver.navigate to. Okay, the the simple difference is it's a open the browser. Okay, your navigate.to is open the browser, but it supports the additional back and forward. Okay, then what is the difference between the web element versus by? Okay, web element, the actual element we are performing the action, whereas a by is a locator strategy only. Okay, after that by dot we'll put the ID, by dot name, by dot xpath. Okay, then what is the difference between set property versus WebDriverManager? Okay, so earlier days we were using the set property to if in case we need to set up the driver manually. Okay, in that case we are using the set property. Okay, but nowadays we are using the WebDriverManager. It's automatic and it's also versioning and downloading the web WebDriver automatically. Okay, so whereas when we were using the set property, okay, there's a version issues were occurring. Okay, but if in case we are using the WebDriverManager, okay, so version issues not coming. Okay, then what is the next difference between data provider versus Excel reading? Okay, so data provider, okay, if we use in TestNG, it's a fast. Okay, it's in memory, whereas if we are using Excel, it's a slower and it's the external. We need to like download the other dependencies like Apache POI and all other details. Then next, what is the difference between parallel execution versus sequential execution? Okay, so in TestNG, if we use the parallel execution, then obviously the faster execution is there, whereas in sequential, slower execution is there. Okay, it's a very simple. Okay, but parallel execution, we need to maintain the thread. Okay, and in TestNG, we need to add this clause. Okay, here suit parallel is equal to test thread count 3. Okay, so this is the top 20 frequently asked interview questions difference between on Selenium with Java and TestNG. Okay, if in case you have any questions and queries, please let me know. Thank you.